Hola a todos, en este video vamos a hablar de los pronombres de objeto indirecto. Hi everyone, in this video we're going to talk about indirect object pronouns. El objetivo, the objective or the goal. By the end of this video, you'll be able to use indirect object pronouns to indicate to whom or for whom an action is done. Let's start with an example, and our example is going to use the verb dar, to give. Dar, to give, yo doy. Yo doy, I give. Yo le doy un libro a Daniela. Let's identify what role each word in this sentence is playing. Yo doy. Yo, el sujeto. I am the subject. The subject is who does the action. Doy, el verbo. I give. Give is the action, the verb. Un libro. What do I give? I give a book. Un libro es el objeto directo. The direct object, what I give, or what directly receives the action of the verb. A Daniela. Who do I give the book to, or to whom? So Daniela es el objeto indirecto. Daniela is the indirect object. The indirect object is to whom or for whom an action is done. So if I give, to find the indirect object, I ask, to whom do I give? Who do I give the book to? A Daniela. Well, we've got one more word here in the sentence. Yo le doy un libro a Daniela. Le is our indirect object pronoun. Pronombre de objeto indirecto. Le is referring to Daniela. So le is the indirect object pronoun and Daniela is the indirect object noun. ¿Cuáles son los pronombres de objeto indirecto? Me, te, le, nos, os, les. These are our 6 indirect object pronouns. Me corresponds with a me, or for me or to me. Te, a ti, for you or to you if you're speaking to someone as tú. Le, a él, a ella, a usted. For him, for her, or for it. And for you if you're speaking to someone as usted. Nos, a nosotros, for us. Os, a vosotros, for you all, if you're in Spain and speaking to a group of people as vosotros. Les, a ellos, a ustedes. For them or for you all, anywhere besides Spain when you're talking to a group of people as ustedes. Me, te, le, nos, os, les. Some of these pronouns you might have seen before with other functions, right? Which ones are new that you haven't seen before? So me, te, nos, and os, you've already seen these as direct object pronouns and also as reflexive pronouns. They're also sometimes indirect object pronouns depending on the context of the sentence. Le and les are the ones we haven't seen before. So remember, le and les, indirecto. Remember, for your indirect object pronouns, le y les are the ones that are different. Vamos a ver muchos ejemplos. Mandar, to send. Let's fill in the blank with the indirect object pronoun for who I send many messages to. A mis amigos, which indirect object pronoun will match with a mis amigos? Les. Yo les mando muchos mensajes a mis amigos. So I send a lot of messages to my friends, a mis amigos. That kind of matches with a ellos, right? To them, if we're thinking on our chart. To my friends, to them. Preguntar, to ask. Our indirect object pronoun will refer to who Anna asks the question. A la profesora. Le matches with a la profesora. Ana le pregunta a la profesora. Dar, to give. Who does she give the apples to? A mí. Me. Ella me da las manzanas a mí. Ella me da las manzanas a mí. So she gives the apples to me. Ella me da las manzanas a mí. We could leave a mí off of this sentence and just say ella me da las manzanas. Just by hearing our indirect object pronoun me, we already know who she's giving the apples to. She's giving them to me. So we could leave off the a mí. Ella me da las manzanas. But can we leave off the me? Can we take out this indirect object pronoun? No. If there is an indirect object in the sentence, you must include the indirect object pronoun. So not all sentences have an indirect object, but if there is one, the sentence must have the indirect object pronoun said aloud or written. So in other words, indirect object pronouns are always used when the sentence refers to an indirect object. But if the indirect object noun is already known, you can choose not to say it and only say the indirect object pronoun. Me, te, le, nos, os, or les. Por ejemplo, mañana es el cumpleaños de mi madre. Le voy a comprar un regalo. So from the context of this conversation, I already know from the first sentence that I'm talking about mi madre. I'm talking about my mother and it's her birthday. So in the second sentence, I could just say le voy a comprar un regalo because we already understand that I'm referring to mi madre. I don't have to say a mi madre if I don't want to, but I do have to include the indirect object pronoun le. Let's take a look at a word order with indirect object pronouns. Le doy unas flores a mi madre. Doy, I give, right? So I give some flowers to my mother. We put the indirect object pronoun, le, before one conjugated verb. So doy is one conjugated verb, le goes before it. Let's see some examples with verb phrases. Le voy a dar unas flores a mi madre. Voy a dar, I am going to give. In this case, we have a verb phrase, voy a dar, more than one word working together as the verb. And in this case with verb phrases, I could put le before the whole verb phrase, or I could put it at the very end of the verb phrase. Voy a darle unas flores. And notice if I put le at the end of the verb phrase, there's not even a space here. I just stick the pronoun right on the end. Let's take another look at word order. Le voy a dar unas flores a mi madre. Le, indirect object pronoun that corresponds to mi madre, the indirect object noun, or who I give the flowers to. Notice that we have this a before mi madre, and it's indicating that a mi madre, to my mother. It's helping us know that my mother is the indirect object. So we could put a mi madre at the beginning. A mi madre le voy a dar unas flores. Even though our word order has changed, this a helps tell us that mi madre is the indirect object. So our word order has more than one option for this in Spanish. What's a context where I might expect to hear a mi madre at the beginning of the sentence instead of the end? This can often be used to contrast or clarify. Por ejemplo, a mi madre le voy a dar unas flores y a mis amigas les voy a dar unos chocolates. So here I'm contrasting what I'm going to give to my mom and what I'm going to give to my friends. So in this context, we might expect to hear this phrase starting with a and then the indirect object at the beginning of the sentence. Let's talk more about context. In what context can I expect to use or hear indirect object pronouns? Since an indirect object tells to whom or for whom an action is done, we'll usually hear indirect object pronouns in the context of transferring information or things, such as giving or telling someone something, or asking someone for something. That someone that you're giving to or asking or telling to is your indirect object. Now let's learn some common verbs that we're going to hear in the context with indirect objects. Dar, to give. We've seen this one before. Let's conjugate it together. Dar. Doy, das, da, damos, dais, dan. Por ejemplo, nuestra abuela nos da galletas cada domingo. Our grandma gives us cookies each Sunday. Who does she give cookies? To us, a nosotros. So nos is our indirect object pronoun. Nuestra abuela nos da galletas cada domingo. Other common verbs in the context of giving or exchanging things. Regalar. Regalar, to give a gift. Mi amiga me regala un libro cada Navidad. My friend gifts me or gives me as a gift a book each Christmas. Mi amiga me regala un libro cada Navidad. Mandar, enviar. Two really similar AR verbs that mean to send. La abogada, the lawyer. La abogada les envía muchos correos electrónicos a sus clientes. Who does the lawyer send a lot of emails to? A sus clientes. So les refers to a sus clientes. La abogada les envía muchos correos electrónicos a sus clientes. You might see a button on the computer that says enviar, which can mean to send. Entregar. Entregar, to submit or to turn in. Los estudiantes le entregan la tarea a la profesora. The students turn in the homework to the teacher. Le, indirect object pronoun, referring to la profesora. Los estudiantes le entregan la tarea a la profesora. Deber. Deber. You might recognize this verb as meaning I must or I should, right? Yo debo. I must or I should. It can also mean to owe someone something. And who you owe is your indirect object in this case. Por ejemplo, él le debe $100 a su hermano. He owes $100 to his brother. So since he owes to his brother, le is our indirect object pronoun matching with hermano. Él le debe $100 a su hermano. Prestar. Prestar, to lend. ¿Me prestas un lápiz, por favor? Prestas. This as ending tells us that you are the subject, right? Tú. You lend me. Me prestas. So this is how you ask, can you lend me a pencil, please? ¿Me prestas un lápiz, por favor? ¿Me prestas un lápiz? Decir, to say or to tell. Decir is a common verb we'll hear with indirect object pronouns because the person or people you say something to is going to need to be referred to with an indirect object pronoun. Let's conjugate the verb together. Decir. Digo, dices, dice. Decimos, decís, dicen. What do you notice is special about this verb? That's right, it's an E to I stem changing verb, right? So we change our E to an I in the shape of a boot on our chart. It's a boot verb or a stem changing verb. What else is special? Yo digo. That's right. Decir is also a yo-go verb, so it ends with go in the yo form. Digo, dices, dice. Decimos, decís, dicen. Decir. Por ejemplo, yo siempre te digo la verdad. La verdad means the truth. Yo siempre te digo la verdad. I always tell you the truth. Who do I tell the truth? To you, right? So te is our indirect object pronoun. Yo siempre te digo la verdad. Let's learn some other common verbs that we'll hear often with the indirect object pronoun in the context of telling or asking information. Contar. Contar. Now sometimes contar can mean to count, like contar hasta 10, to count to 10. But it also means to tell. Por ejemplo, te voy a contar un chiste. I'm going to tell you a joke. O el padre le cuenta un cuento a su hija. The father tells a story to his daughter. Le cuenta. He tells her. And that's right, the word for story, el cuento, is related to this verb contar. Explicar. Explicar, to explain. So if you explain something to someone, you'll refer to that someone with the indirect object pronoun. Por ejemplo, el profesor les explica la lección a los estudiantes. El profesor les explica la lección a los estudiantes. Pedir. Pedir, to ask for or to request. And this is another E to I stem changing verb. Pedir. Yo te pido disculpas. Pedir disculpas is to ask for forgiveness. So, yo te pido disculpas. I ask you for forgiveness. Yo te pido disculpas. Escribir. Escribir, to write. If we use the verb escribir in the context of writing to someone, we need to refer to that someone with an indirect object pronoun. Por ejemplo, yo le escribo una carta a mi abuela. I write a letter to my grandma. Yo le escribo una carta a mi abuela. Vamos a practicar. Pause the video and fill in the blank with the correct indirect object pronoun. Ready to see the answers together? Número 1. Mi tía Lorena le prepara la cena a mi abuela cada viernes. My Aunt Lorena prepares dinner for my grandma each Friday. Le, because she prepares dinner for mi abuela, a ella. Le prepara la cena. Número 2. Los sábados les hago el desayuno a mis padres. On Saturdays, I make breakfast for my parents. Yo les hago el desayuno. So les is referring to a mis padres, who I make breakfast for. Número 3. ¿Tú siempre les dices la verdad a tus amigos? Do you always tell the truth to your friends? So who do you tell the truth to? A tus amigos, a ellos, right? So les. Número 4. ¿Necesitas ayuda? Yo te puedo ayudar. Do you need help? I can help you. So in this sentence, we didn't specifically see a ti. We could add it. Yo te puedo ayudar a ti, right? I can help you. But in the context of this conversation, I asked necesitas. That's tú necesitas. Do you need help? So, tú necesitas ayuda. Simply, necesitas ayuda. Yo te puedo ayudar. Y número 5. A ustedes les tengo que contar algo muy importante. So, to you all, so I'm talking to a group of people, I have to tell something very important. Who do I have to tell something very important to? A ustedes, to you all. A ustedes les tengo que contar algo muy importante. Métele, nos, os, les. Los pronombres de objeto indirecto. Do these look kind of familiar? Maybe something you've already learned before? Vamos a ver. A mí me gustan las fresas. A Elena le gusta leer. ¿A ustedes les gustan los camarones? Remember learning how to use the verb gustar to express likes? That's right. Gustar and similar verbs that function the same way come with an indirect object. A mí me gustan las fresas. This me is our indirect object pronoun, indicating that I like it. And we're going to go more into detail about using indirect object pronouns with gustar and other similar verbs in our next lesson. Muchas gracias. Gracias por ver el video. Thanks for watching the video. ¿Preguntas o comentarios? If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact me. Hasta luego.